Was manufacturing versus the old traditional manufacturing? It's faster, it's more agile, it requires less space, therefore less investment, and so on and so forth. That's what we're hearing from Dhiren Thaka, President and CEO of MedAditas Pharmaceutical Kenya, and Dr. Vincent Orinda, Director at the same organization. CT, you had a question?
I did.
Please go.
Everything that I've heard. Let me proceed.
Away.
Yes. Everything I've heard so far simply says this: we are not reinventing the process.
Just hold that mic. Just shikilia tu kwa mkono.
You need to behave.
Just hold it. Hold it like
There
that.
we are.
Like that.
Okay. We are not reinventing the wheel as far as drugs are concerned. We are saying you will have drugs that cater for the medical needs you will have. What we're doing is we want to ensure that the process of getting the drug to you is efficient. There's a word that comes in, it's called economies of scale. We are going to produce it at a much faster rate, at a more efficient rate. And what that means is we'll be able to get these drugs in larger numbers to you. And because of these factors, it will be cheaper. So far, have I understood that to be correct?
You are correct.
Okay. How then does this factor when you are talking about, one, the process of ensuring that the patient actually benefits? Because there's the issue of cost here. We've mentioned it, but we haven't looked at it granularly to say, okay, this cost that you speak of, how exactly will it be? Then there's the matter of the universal health care processes that we have been talking about in this country. How exactly does that feature and how does that weave into this conversation? Let me start with you, Dr. Vinda.
Thank you very much for a good question. Universal health coverage basically means that all people have access to quality health services without financial hardship. That is the meaning of universal health coverage.
And it's quality, access, and
affordability.
Affordable.
Is very critical. And as you know, that this is very much in line with our Constitution, Article number 43, which says that every person has a right to the highest attainable standard of health, which includes the right to health care. Now, these rights have been more or less disadvantaged because of the high cost of health care in general. And amongst these are drugs and medicines, the issues of diagnostics, and of course other issues that come into healthcare costs. Now, if you can reduce the cost of drugs, and Dhiren will tell you that this process actually reduces cost of drug by up to 50%. Yes.
Okay.
That is highly significant. Not only that, it also, Dhiren's technology also increases the volume of drugs manufacturing in a small space. In fact, one unit can produce up to 2 to 3 billion tablets a year. We're talking big scale stuff.
So we're talking about production per square meter.
Yes.
Let's see.
We're talking big volumes, we're talking big quality, we're talking affordability. So if you're looking at universal health care coverage, which has got basic elements of population coverage, of service package, and financial sustainability, financial affordability. Those things are fitting very well in this project, and Dhiren can explain a little more on some of these areas.
I just want to touch on something, Dr. Rinda. I mean, it's phenomenal just to imagine what could actually happen. And I think about, just as an example, antibiotics that you would give a child for 10 days or 14 days, 7 days, whatever the case may be. And if we look at the very basic in Kenya today for a bacterial infection, for example, a child at the age of 8 years old is going to take that for 7 days, 10 days. And if you don't have insurance and you're paying out of pocket, you're easily paying 3,000 shillings for that dose of antibiotics. So what we are saying now, essentially, is that more or less, you'll be able to pay 1,500 shillings for the same thing similar, if not more, in terms of potency and effectiveness and efficacy at that price, right? But then what I'm confused about, I'm not even confused, I'm just, I guess, gobsmacked, is that why has this never been done here before?
Well, everything has its right time.
Yeah.
Technology advances over time. This new technology. And we are just lucky that we have Dhiren who comes in and says, let me bring this technology to Kenya and to Africa so that it can benefit many, many more people. So it's a matter of people like Dhiren with goodwill who says, well, I want to do good to people. In fact, I usually talk about private for public good. Mm-hmm. This is a perfect case of private for public good, so that we can be able to effect change and also increase the quality of life. If you look at the landscape in the health sector or in health in general, we have had many ups and downs. The COVID came, the HIV/AIDS came. Our life expectancy was on a roller coaster at some stage. We are up now in Kenya is about 62, 66 years, and also increasing. And in fact, we have seen even a drastic drop in child mortality. Infant mortality has dropped quite a bit, and under 5 mortality has dropped quite significantly. Between 2003 to 2022, we do what we call demographic and health surveys, done in 2003, 2014, and the most recent one, 2022. It shows that Kenya has really made advance in these areas for mortality. And child mortality is a very good indicator of our health status. So in many ways, we are coming in at a point where mortality is going down, but at the same time, the non-communicable diseases are going up. In other words, adult mortality becomes a big problem. So Dhiren comes in at a time when actually all these things can happen all at the same time. And Dhiren, maybe you can add a little more there.
Yeah, to just expand on that, you asked why this hasn't been done before. Well, this technology actually was developed only 10 to 15 years, last 10 to 15 years.
Still new.
And interestingly, this technology was developed by several multinational pharmaceutical companies who generally focus on profit. And they did it because they realized that they cannot rely on one area like India or China to make their drugs to distribute everywhere else. They realized that it puts their supply in jeopardy. So they have developed this technology so they have capability to distribute manufacturing across different areas. So now we can take advantage of that. We want to do the same thing, but for a different reason. I want to do this because I want to bring manufacturing capability in African countries where it is needed. So we can use that technology to distribute manufacturing within Africa. This is not just about us making drugs. We want to show with a proof of concept that this technology works. It can be deployed in Africa. And once people accept that, I think we can bring a lot more investment and we can begin to replicate this in other parts of Kenya, but also other parts of sub-Saharan Africa. That is how we want to actually take advantage of something that developed in the last 10, 15 years. I also want to talk about one more technology, if you may, if I could indulge. So there are two aspects of medicines. There's quality and there is affordability, right? And often these two forces work against each other. You try to improve quality, you increase costs. In fact, you know that in this country, European drugs, which are of high quality, are much more expensive than drugs made in locally or in India or China. Well, I think what we want to accomplish is both. We can create high quality medicines at the same level of quality that patients get in North America and Europe. We are compromising here in this part of the world. We are accepting lower quality. We should not. So we are automating a lot of the quality management systems. We are digitizing it so that we can actually make it work. We can achieve the quality by having all the processes that are automated and digitized. But once you digitize the processes, the data is all digital, and people worry that you now have the capability of fudging the data or manipulating the data, right? We want to preempt that, and so we are bringing what is known as blockchain data architecture. So all our operations, manufacturing, distribution, will be embedded in blockchain data architecture. So why that really assures quality? Blockchain by its nature will not allow anybody to go in and change the data without leaving an audit trail. So once the data goes in, it's immutable.
Yeah.
So so we want everybody to know that the data we will generate will have absolute integrity because it will be protected by blockchain. And secondly, this data is very flexible. We can share, there's a vast amount of data. We can share that with our stakeholders, depending on who wants to access the data, regulators, government, global procurers. We can actually segment this data and make them available to this, so that we become a very transparent sort of company in producing quality. So we want to create high quality, but keep the cost down. That is what we want to achieve. I know a lot of people don't believe it, but we are going to make it happen.
You'll get it right. Darren, you've mentioned a number of times in this conversation today proof of concept, that you want to have proof of concept to show, to demonstrate that it works.
Yes.
That everything that you've told us, about lowering costs, even costs of investment is going to be low. The space needed is low. The consumables used low. The cost of the product that comes out is going to be even more affordable to the consumers. But we still need proof of concept. Are we saying that this is not yet tried and tested, that we have nowhere else that we can show that this is working? Why do we need to have a proof of concept in Kisumu?
Yeah, and that's because, in fact, when I started this conversation with people who know these technologies and people who know the business, they say, well, you can't make it work in Africa. Because they don't have the infrastructure, they don't have, the workforce, that is the proof of concept I'm talking about.
I don't get it. We have land.
Yes.
You need much less land than others would require. We have trained pharmacists who graduate out of our universities every year. We have workforce. In fact, we have even farm techs who are coming out of KMTC and other colleges. So we have a trained workforce here. We've got power. Power is available. There are other manufacturing plants. What is it that they're saying that we don't have?
We even have engineers.
Yes. Yeah, but
what are they saying we don't have?
I think it is not. I think the source of that comment is correct. This is a new technology. It's highly automated. I describe that as a simplified process, but the machinery is quite complex. So I think there are non-believers who think that this cannot be really deployed in Africa. Yeah. It might not work, it might not function, it breaks down, how are you going to fix it? So there are a lot of concerns. And we have answered that question by creating a very different business model. Instead of bringing that technology and bringing blockchain and manufacturing technology and making it work here by ourselves, we Medaritas, we believe we are the convener of strategic partners. So we have brought a company from Germany, Glatt, that makes the machinery that have world's expertise. We have a company called Remedy that is a world leader in healthcare application of blockchain. These are our partners. They are making the same commitment we are making to make this work. So, government of County of Kisumu, our partner. As you know, something like this requires infrastructure, needs support. So these are just 3 examples of partnerships that we put together. But every partner we have must have the same philosophical underpinning. They want to do this for the right reason. That is really our motivation. That's how we have put together several partnerships. We believe by doing so, we are de-risking the project. Every investor will say, the project is risky, and we have been able to show that we have de-risked this. That is what I mean by proof of concept. Once we make this happen, Gates, who is a non-believer Gates does not believe that this can be done in Africa. We want to make him a believer. And hopefully then he will invest a lot more money here.
In fact, Governor Nyong'o put in place a very strong technical team. People within the county and also out of the county. And he asked me to be the chair of that technical team. It's called a task force, to support Dhiren in this whole process. And this task team has been meeting for the last 2 years, quietly, looking at all the parameters, what needs to be done, etc., etc. And we have looked at all the issues of land, all the issues of the things that are needed in this factory. And it's a very good model, actually, that an investor can come in like Dhiren and find a strong technical team to work with, and a technical team that really we know what we're doing. And basically, it has given Dhiren a level of comfort. So this is part of this proof of concept that things can work.
It's doable.
Things are doable. And our team, let me say this for the nation to hear, we are not at Dhiren for what is in it for us. Dhiren is here, you can say. We are there to do good and do it professionally.
Yeah.
And we have, I've mentioned names before. We have Professor Kamarogo, we have Dr. Rai, Dr. Ganda, Dr. Kelly, people who are working with
renowned professionals in the healthcare space.
Yes, and we are determined, actually, to make this work. So in many ways, we bring in know-how, we bring in a certain level of experience and expertise.
In terms of the resourcing,
yes,
right? I know, so among the things, of course, I've got to ask Dhiren is, where is he getting the money from?
Yeah.
But then what else is the county government of Kisumu supporting with? So are you, for example, establishing a special economic zone that then gives Dhiren the tax benefits of setting up at a special economic zone? Or is it in the KIPES county aggregation and industrial parks? Are you setting up in a special zone that helps to do this in terms of access to power, access to water, access to all this? What's the county government of Kisumu?
Well, we really need to give credit to Governor Nyong'o for his vision and his commitment to this process. In fact, I think he sees it as one of his flagship projects. And within that framework, he drafted a concession agreement with Dhiren, and also he organized a public participation to make sure that the public are very much aware, so that we can look at a people-centered approach and a social accountability that is needed to support this kind of factory. And when we had public participation 2 weeks ago, it was very evident that the public were very supportive, and they were asked a few questions, including waste and environmental impact. And they were assured by Dhiren that given the technology and the small footprint that this comes with, that the impact on the environment will not be as bad as people think. So that aspect of community participation, Dr. Governor Nyong'o has taken care of. And then the aspect of services to special economic zone, which includes roads, electricity, water, waste management. Those are issues which are being addressed. And our technical team are actually looking at that because we have people expert in those areas. And the special economic zone, of course, is now the next step. And we are hoping that CESA, Special Economic Zone Authority, can grant us a special economic zone status, even as we are going forward. And we know that will happen because we have a ready investor, we have a good technology, we have a good hope, and it is fitting within the UHC approach in this country. And I want to say that it's coming even when we are changing from NHIF to to shisha. People are talking about this.
Taifa.
It's
now called Taifa.
Yeah, Taifa.
Taifa
And let me
care.
tell you, we have been engaged in health sector development in a very big way. And the dialogue that is happening today in Kenya with the Taifa Health is very important, because if we look at NHIF before, the benefits were not that much. They were very little. I mean, you look at what, and we have opportunity to do a lot more. But that's another story. But coming back to this story of Kisumu, Governor Nyong'o has provided a lot of support, and with technical team they are supporting Dhiren, and Dhiren also has a very big technical team. I think the proof of concept is already happening, and we're going to say that this is going to happen.
What's the level of investment we're looking at here?
Let Dhiren respond to that.
And how many people do we expect to get employment here? What's the impact that we expect?
Yeah, first I'll talk about impact. The impact is going to be
a minute and a half.
Yeah, impact is going to be huge, because we believe that not only we will produce medicines that will be available to people at low cost and good quality, but I think because of what we are doing, it will replicate, and we will have much faster growth of the pharmaceutical manufacturing sector. That is going to be the impact. This project is approximately $40 million project that includes capital costs as well as operating costs for first 2, 3, 4 years until we become profitable. And because of the fact that we de-risked this, several development banks got interested in us, and they have decided to really, one of the banks has decided, Afrexim Bank has decided to really go forward with us. And we are bringing private investment, equity investment in parallel to that. And we are surprising people. We are raising money at a much faster pace than most people expected.
Okay.
Maybe Dhiren can also mention about the time duration. People do not expect that tomorrow.
Yeah, when are we expecting this plant?
Yes.
Well, we are moving very fast. We don't have time to explain how we are trying to really bring drugs fast to market. But because of, again, partnerships, in 3 years, we will have drugs on the market.
In 3 years' time?
Yeah, which is very fast in this industry.
2027?
Yeah.
Okay. Dhiren Thaka is the president and CEO of Med Aditas Pharmaceutical Kenya, and Dr. Vincent Orinda, director of the same Med Aditas Pharmaceutical Kenya, talking about establishing a new transformative pharmaceutical manufacturing plant in Kisumu. 8 a.m. news time.